and welcome to the Zoominghooskpodcast, podcast, and I'm your host, Dustin DaHusky.
And I have snacks. And I'm a sourpuss.
Hello, sourpuss. And apparently today is Elton John's birthday.
Happy birthday, Elton. Sir Elton.
Sir Elton. Oh, yeah.
And you just bought one of his best of albums, didn't you, recently?
On tape, yeah, on cassette tape. I bought his greatest hits not of 1972, but that's kind of when that record was made, and it was put on cassette in 74.
So it compiled in the early 70s.
And he's got some good music.
Some of his best stuff. He's been doing music a long time.
He has been, and you know what? It transcends all classes and whatnot. Even people who are against gay people, they'll still say, well, hey, at least Elton John's got a good singing voice.
Except... Who's the...
Yeah.
What's the bicycle cyclists?
I don't know what you're going with.
What was that gathering of people he played for?
Oh,
Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidson, yeah.
They don't like him too much.
Which is a shame, but you know what? Hey, you know, they went to a concert that a lot of people would pay double or triple the money just because it's him. But that's their own loss. I have never heard of people before who say they hated gay people or didn't care to understand them, but when it came to Elton John's music, that's the only time they say, well, at least they got all Elton John, so I guess it can't be all bad. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow. So you're still being brutally honest about that. But you're being brutally honest, which I don't know if I would care to respect or to just not want to associate at all. I don't know. The more and more I hear about people's... It's not to say that I hate people's opinions. I don't mind listening to people's opinions.
Right, because everybody's entitled to one.
Oh, yeah.
But like what one person said, opinions are like assholes.
Yep.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah, it's not so much that I can't stand opinions, because everyone needs to listen to an opinion from time to time. Is that thing mine?
Mm-hmm.
How old is that thing?
Since the last time we podcasted.
We need it. No, I'm not drinking that. That's.
It's been covered.
Oh boy.
Give it a sip. I'm sure it's fine.
Holy shit.
Possibly fermented a little bit. You brought this on yourself, Hoosk. Now suffer the consequences.
Actually, it's not so bad.
As Lauren would say, suffer.
So.
We actually hiss at work, by the way.
That's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are two cats.
Yep.
So now with that. So with opinions. It's the really toxic, insecure opinions of people I don't care to listen to, because you know what, I hear it all the time. It's generally spouting not the same topic, but it usually goes in the same manner of precedence. You know what's going to happen, they're going to get really opinionated about it, being incredibly toxic about it. It's like, how am I supposed to talk with you knowing that you wanted to talk about that? That's right. What you want to talk about? I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah.
Frankly, at that point, if you're going to be the cooler of any conversation, you may as well not say anything at all. It'd be better off if these people didn't say squat, because you can at least talk to them and they'll have something else to say.
Yes.
But, yeah, we all know those people that will say the absolute garbage stuff to say, and then they expect people to actually discuss with them, which you kind of have to wonder is kind of sad, because they think that other people think like them.
They do. So I actually had something similar happen to me when I used to cut hair.
Uh-oh.
Or back when I still was cutting hair in Illinois, I should say. I still cut hair. But I would have people sit down in my chair And instantly, they would start talking about politics. I mean, this was only like 4 or 5 years ago, so this was back when he was campaigning. He who shall not be named.
Yeah.
And I remember every single person that sat down in my chair, as soon as I gave them kind of a nod of approval, they would just assume I agree with everything that they uttered out of their mouths.
Wait a minute, the nod of approval, meaning when you first get to meet them.
Well, just my thing is always this, because politics is such a taboo subject. Do not get into it with people if you disagree.
This is actually the nod of approval when they start spouting about stuff.
Right.
Oh,
because
in that way.
I'm doing their hair.
Right.
I'm performing a service.
You got the perfect excuse.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything within my power to get a tip out of people. So, without saying, more than 1 or 2 words, I've got them, I don't want to say eating out of the palm of my hand, but I've got them thinking that I'm on their side and I agree with everything they say, when most of the time it could be further from the truth. And even when it was somebody who I did agree with, I tried very hard to not get into
involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's a taboo subject. That person to the next chair over from you probably thinks the other way.
Yeah.
So, don't invite that. Especially when you're in a place of business like that, where we're all holding sharp objects. It's just not smart. So this one lady started spouting off in a more
And snot went all over the place.
And snot went all over the place, and
the cat is now licking his nose for the
nose.
salt.
She was leaning more left, and she was very vocal about it and very loud. And at some point, I leaned into her ear and I said, I understand what you're saying, but I just can't engage too much in this conversation. And she looked at me, kind of smiled, grinned a little bit, and said, and that's another thing. Why can't people just talk about politics? And I'm like, oh, wait.
Have you seen what happened in the last political election?
So
I totally agree with her. I used to talk politics on a regular basis with different people all the time, but we never got butthurt.
Yeah.
If you're having a civil conversation, you're not raising your voice.
Yeah.
You're not going after each other with nails and hammers and whatnot. It can be not entertaining. It can be quite educational.
Right.
Debate is meant to be educational and informative. Nowadays, you can't talk 2 words without someone yelling at you for one reason or another. Or, hold on. One moment.
Editing coming in.
Hello?
Hi, Paul. This is Marissa calling you to give you an 8 o'clock start time tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye. And I start at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, so hey, you know what? 8 o'clock's a good time.
Yeah.
Anything later than that, then it's almost too late because then I work a bit later. But that's fine though. 8 o'clock, fine.
But being able to talk politics, being able to meet somewhere halfway, meet people on common ground.
Going to a bar with a bunch of your coworkers, and this is long in the day, even when I worked for the States. 5 of us or 6 of us would go to a bar, and all of us were all differing. Not a single person was of the same political party. It was literally all over the place. Even some were far-reaching radicals that you would actually kind of have to question even today if you should be friends with them. But we all literally talked to each other, beer in hand, and you know what?
Yeah.
None of us ever lunged to our throats.
Right.
Because we were all, and you know what? I had never experienced a normal conversation talking about politics among 5 other people with 5 different backgrounds, with 5 different ideologies. Not just two, not just Democrat or Republican. I'm talking, you both had one who was, you know, we all know who might be Democratic Socialist and whatnot. We had one of those in our group. We had one that was full-on communist, who was like really looking forward to the end of the world with capitalism, which I can understand because capitalism is not that great. It's better than full-fledged communism. Socialism is a good middle ground, but you do need capitalistic tendencies in that system to make it to keep the growth, but also not creating total bust and growth all over and all over again.
Right.
So and so.
Right.
But I'm getting beside the point. It's just we all got along. None of us hated each other for our differing opinions because we respected our differing opinions.
Yep.
Never again will that happen again. Well, with those individuals I can still get along with to this day. I don't have an issue. We even all agree. You know what kind of sucks? Is that we seem to be the only group of people that will talk politics among each other as more like a philosophical debate.
Right.
Learn a bit about each other, maybe disagree, maybe agree, maybe roll on the blueprint of how to make a perfect world with all 5 of our senses, or 6 of us, and see what can work with everything knowing. And we all said the last time we got together is, man, did this country go to shit as far as politics is concerned. And even the Republican who was not for Trump absolutely like, you know what, Trump was a joke, but he wasn't actually believing he'd make it all the way. And by the time that he made it all the way, he was in total disbelief. I don't know. It's just the age of talking politics with your barber is totally gone. Even if, and back in the day, even differing opinions, whether if it were aggressive or whatnot, you still had a conversation. But he was your customer. He is your barber. You both grew to respect each other outside of that fact. Nowadays, respect's out the window. You can't... respect is a total... is totally dead.
It's lost.
It's gone for good. And we don't know if it'll ever come back. Like, I remember the 2012 election in the furry fandom at fur cons, and you know what? Some of my friends who are Republican don't think of them any differently because they're Republican. They just happen to be Republican, but they're my friends to and through, to the very end, because I care about them. And you know what? They mentioned about, oh yeah, well, we lost. Anyway, well, let's get back to the fun. They didn't dwell on it. I didn't say anything about it. We just got back to being furries and enjoyed our weekend together. You know what? It was fine. Opinions trigger people, politics trigger people, and I'm afraid that will never, ever, it'll never come back to the old days of when you can talk politics, or talk whatever without offending someone, and then them coming down your throats for exactly that. So, speaking of triggering people, let's actually talk about the music industry, and not so much bands, but music producers. Let's talk about pirating and how that triggers producers from earning another buck.
Talk about a trigger.
Let's actually talk about the early days of the MP3 file. Can you explain more about that, Poos?
Well, I was alive when it happened. In fact, to go a little deeper even, as a young Poos, I used to record songs off of the radio with my cassette player, which could be considered pirating.
I mean, it totally was, but no one's going to stop you.
No. I mean...
They should be going after the manufacturers for having a record button.
Yeah.
At that point, it's not so much the end user, it's the manufacturer allowing the end user to do what they want. Yeah.
And the manufacturer who makes blank cassettes.
Exactly.
and the manufacturers that make blank CDs.
Yeah, there we go.
And blank DVDs and blank Blu-rays.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I used to sit there and wait for a certain song that I like to have a copy of, and then I would record it. Provided that the DJ didn't talk over the first
Oh, yeah.
15 to 20 seconds of the song.
That's still a pet peeve of mine. I totally dislike that.
It drives me nuts.
Oh, it drives me insane, too.
They'll literally talk about, sometimes not even about the music that's about to play. They'll just talk about whatever, and then right before the song starts or the singing begins, they stop talking. And a few times they actually even...
Talk over the first few words of
yes.
a song.
At that point, I would just hit the stop button and say, fuck it, and rewind back to the beginning of the cassette and wait for it to play the song again.
You know, songs like Subdivision and Dreams.
Yeah.
They have a really good, catchy beginning of those songs. And
Yep.
you know what? They often enough will talk right over the opening riff.
Drives me nuts.
And it drives me nuts because those are really good riffs. And I noticed that with some songs, they don't ever actually talk over some of them because I'm sure they got bitched at by listeners saying, "Hey, how dare you? How dare you were talking over the intro to I'll Wait by Van Halen." And Van Halen is known for incredible beginning, opening riffs for songs.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe more than Rush, and Rush has a lot. But Van Halen, iconic for its intros for their songs.
Yes.
And I noticed that every single Van Halen song on the local radio will not talk over the very beginning. Because I'm sure they got bitched at by listeners saying, "How dare you?" And if they keep doing it over and over again, they learn if it means not to get an angry phone call by a listener. Which gets to the attention of producers at these radio stations, and then they want to know what's going on.
Yep.
But then with some songs, they get free reign to talk as long as they can for 20 more seconds before even the first lyrics come out. It's sad. It's kind of pathetic.
It is. But yeah, so you've seen some of my cassette collection. I kept a lot of it. I didn't keep all of it, but I kept the stuff that meant the most to me.
You have to.
But I remember a buddy of mine, somebody I worked with at a video game store.
Vita?
No. My buddy Nathan. He had a friend, and we were sharing computer games that we had made copies of with each other. And in the stack of CDs that he had, actually introduced me to a few things. He had emulators on there with Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games, fully playable, pirated, playable on the computer.
As is tradition.
As is Pooh's tradition. And then he had a couple MP3s on there. And I was like, MP3, what's that? I had no way to play them. But with a little research, I found Winamp, which I've actually introduced to you.
Which is what plays our theme song.
Yeah.
That same very program.
Yeah. It's hardly changed even. It has been updated. You can actually listen to radio stations on it.
Really?
Yeah. It's a wonderful program. So I found that, and the first song that I downloaded in MP3 form was Christina Aguilera, Genie in a Bottle. And I was so proud to have that song. And the website that I got it from had like 60 or 70 songs total. That was it.
At the time.
Yeah.
Total. Around the world. Total.
And I'm sure there were other websites out there that I found slowly, but it would take days to download a couple songs.
How long did it take to actually do the upload of one music file back then?
Well, downloading. I didn't do any uploading.
Or however you...
Downloading took hours.
And what year was this? 92?
91.
So, bear in mind, the early days of the internet, to download what is probably a 3 or 4 minute song, back then,
Probably took 3 or 4 hours.
okay, so about that amount of time.
Maybe not that long. Maybe an hour per
I would
song.
say probably an hour, because you know how long it took in 1998 to upload an image, or not an upload, but to click on an image to get a bigger view?
It took a while.
On my old compact desktop in the late 90s, it literally took about 15 to 20 minutes in 98. By 2002, it was reduced to half that time.
Yep.
It took 10 minutes for me to look at a picture of a werewolf,
Ah.
which I thought was lightning speed compared to what I was used to.
Yeah.
Now it's instantaneous.
Pretty
now I can
much.
look at tits and ass at the same time, just immediately. So it took you an hour about per song, and there were 60 files, and you often enough did it whenever you could.
Yeah.
So it took you weeks before
Bear in mind, I was also using dial-up modem. So,
Oh, dial-up.
so if someone called us,
Oh,
or,
it would actually interrupt it.
or if someone picked up the phone, it would interrupt the download, and I would have to start over. Which eventually I found a program that would manage your downloads. So if it got interrupted,
It would bypass.
it would hold the place, and when you got reconnected,
It would continue.
it would usually continue where it left off.
So it's not a bypass, but it is just simply... It freezes or pauses whatever is going on, and then it just re-continues without needing...
Probably what
That's
it,
not bad.
I think what it did was it saved the file in its incomplete state.
And then it'll pick up wherever it left off.
Yeah. And the games that I downloaded, because I was also introduced to emulation at that same time,
Mm-hmm.
and I immediately dove into really all the retro gaming. But there was one console that I never owned as a small poos,
Aw.
and that was SNK's Neo Geo, which their games came on cartridges as big as a VHS tape. It was huge. And each game costs like $300 or $400.
That sounds like a obscure format that didn't get anywhere.
Oh, it did though. They
Oh,
still
really?
make games.
Really?
Yes.
It's just not in that format. They just
Well-
do it in another format, huh?
The reason that they were so big was because it was set up to either be in an arcade machine cabinet
Mhm.
or a home version, and they were essentially the same machine. So you take it out of the arcade machine, take it home, and plug it into the system at home.
Because all it is CRT
Right.
screens.
Monitor.
Yeah.
Right.
Which literally is identical.
You
Unlike
might-
going from like an LCD screen from a CRT, you're getting different view. What was Tempest? Tempest was
That was a
laser dot.
no. Oh God. Oh God.
It was the same with asteroid.
Asteroids. Hold on, I have to remember. Asteroids was what type of vector? I think it was vector.
Vectoring.
It
Yeah,
was vector graphics.
it was vector graphics. There we go.
As
Okay.
soon as I asked the name, as soon as I asked the question, I had the answer in my head. Yeah, Tempest was vector, which was revolutionary for back then.
And going back to my physics days, vector is the definition of direction and magnitude,
Mm-hmm.
which was also quoted by Gru's rival in the movie Despicable Me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I nerded, because the physics nerd Hoosk, I nerded when he said that, because it's exactly true.
Yeah.
Vector! The definition of direction and magnitude.
Yes.
Almost exactly. But,
So yeah, I downloaded stuff and I pirated, and I've been doing it ever since.
okay.
Proudly.
So let's talk a bit about the pirating part again. So, you know, bands make money off the sale of their CDs, tapes, records, 8-track, what have you. Producers take a small cut.
Yes.
I don't think any band is going to care if someone is going to pirate their stuff. So as long as it gets them into their music, who knows? Maybe in time.
Well, here's my theory about them. We talked about this
Okay.
earlier. When a musician makes a record or even just a song, they get paid for that song.
Right.
One time. They do get residual kickbacks every time it's played on the radio and all that.
Where every single time that a CD tape is sold, they get maybe 10 cents off each copy.
And I don't know how much it's changed in the last 15, 20 some odd years, but here's my theory, and this is why I think what I did was not so bad. I didn't sell any of the stuff that I downloaded.
No.
I would share it to occasionally one or two people that I knew.
But you
Good
never made
friends.
any money.
But I didn't make money off of it. It was for personal use. And at the time, I mean, you saw my collection of CDs.
Right.
I would buy music. I did buy music.
You know what? Maybe there's a reason why the FBI or what agency is going out of their way to knock on everyone's door to say, hey, we know you've been pirating illegal stuff. Well, not just illegal stuff, just pirating, which I don't know if it was ever really enforced, and if it was, how can you say, yeah, I pirated it, I never did sell it. Yeah, pirating might be frowned upon, but I never made any money on top of that, which, to be honest, whatever money you're making on top of pirating, you're not getting anywhere near what producers are making.
No.
No way. I think it's just kind of a wah kind of thing for like producers of saying, they're taking away our money. Well, that might be true, but you're making loads of money anyway. And for the most part, some producers fund different bands at the same time.
Well, multiple.
So it's not to say that they're losing money on one tape cassette worth of music that some kid in their mom's attic is making a few tape copies to share with their friends. More than enough, they're actually giving more than money to the companies that make blank tapes than they are giving it to their friends, because, you know, your friends aren't going to give you any money for it. But hey, if you're cool enough to give someone a mixtape or just a copy of something that they want, you're already buying their friendship anyway.
Right.
You didn't need that much money. It was kind of like, for us, it was Jolly Ranchers. We used that as currency because my school banned the use of currency. So we created our own currency out of candy, and it worked pretty good. The blue Jolly Rancher was pretty much like a $50 bill, because for some reason they were uncommon back in the day, and if you had one, you could trade in for a lot of things. It's interesting, actually, thinking about it now. Because the last time we used paper money, we got in trouble. So instead of that, we used candy for currency, which I don't know why it worked like that, but it just did.
Yeah.
So pirating and MP3 files. The producers want as much money as they can get because, of course, they want to. That's their game. That's their shtick. The bands do get paid outright for it. I still think they get paid a small amount, and then whatever through the record sales, they get the rest. In case an album tanked.
Right.
I think with some bands they only get paid half, and they only get the other half of what they're owed through sales if they are good, or maybe get a little bit more if they're going double platinum or whatever. For example, The Caress of Steel is an album by Rush that tanked so bad after that was Fly By Night. Rush in the 1970s liked a lot of fantasy, whimsical creation, which made them well known, which made them popular. And you know what? It's great. It's fantastic. They continued that with Caress of Steel, and guess what? that album tanked so bad that
commercially
it tanked.
I'm sure that the real fans actually probably.
Oh yeah, it's just by then some fans didn't care for it, but they still listened to their older stuff and newer stuff. But Caress of Steel was a hard pill to swallow for some fans just because of the content on it. Original records and 8-track and cassette tape for Caress of Steel is rare because you know why? They made an initial batch, they sold that out eventually, and they made very, very few copies, like copy batches, to continue sales. Like some records sell like over 1 million, right? Mm-hmm. So they might make like, a 250,000 if they feel like it's going to hit really, really deep. And they realize they sold 250,000 within a few months, they're going to make more. And then, they hit gold or platinum or double platinum. And then you make a lot of good money that way. I don't think they sold more than 300,000 vinyls of Caress of Steel in the original recording. They do make reproductions, so you can still buy one. But back then, that was their least successful album they've ever made. And the band took a hit on that. They didn't get paid as much just because.
I'm sure they didn't.
So, yeah, I just think pirating an MP3 files online, which a lot of us go to anyway, because you know what? We're not being paid as much. Now, I like cassette tapes now, so of course I'm going to buy physical copies, because you know what? It's kind of cool. It's kind of relaxing. And there's something about the good old days that is comforting. But buying anything modern, as in like a modern band with a new, recent album, if I really like it, I'm going to be very hard-pressed if I'm going to be buying it now. My money is valuable to me. I'd rather spend it on something else. And I believe the Poos is doing some kind of tax. He is doing a calculation.
I'm doing personal shopping for my mother Poos.
Aww. To loaf on and vibrate on.
Yes.
So, we talked about pirating and how, really, if you're caught red-handed selling it to other people making money, that is what the FBI thinks as pirating. If you're just taking a copy and you're using it for your own enjoyment, I don't think that's much an issue.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but I got caught one time downloading a movie, and it happened to be a movie I starred in.
Public Enemies.
Yep.
So what happened?
My theory was this is my thinking. I'm sure a lot of you are going to think that's wrong. You shouldn't think like that. But here's my thing. Okay, I got paid $80 to wear shoes that were 4 times smaller than my size and stand on set with Johnny Depp for 12 hours. And I got paid, what did I say, $70 for that?
$80.
$80.
I thought you got paid $500.
Well, $70 an hour.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So I think during that time you made about $500 just to be an extra, which is still pretty dope.
Which is still pretty dope, I'll admit.
And that's actually probably the most per hour you will ever make.
Oh yeah.
Was being on a movie stage with Johnny Depp, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And it was a legit rundown, no longer used police station that we were in too. It was not a sound stage. This was a legit police station.
You were filming on set.
We were literally on site, yeah. With screaming fans lined up for blocks outside. So how the hell did you manage to quiet down the fans? Well, we were so far into this building.
Yeah.
You know how big those older buildings are in Chicago?
They're thick as hell, yeah.
You can't hear anything.
We can tell why there are so many murders in Chicago. All the buildings get muffled, or the buildings muffle the murders going on there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at one point we were upstairs and we opened a window. We were like waving to all the people in the street.
Oh my God, it's Johnny Depp! Like, I'm not Johnny Depp, but okay. Ah. I am a Poos. Ah.
Oh my God, it's a poos.
Ah.
So, yeah, where was I going? Oh, so where I was going with that was, my thought process is this: all the pain and suffering I went through to be on that set,
You deserve a free copy.
I deserved a copy of that movie that I didn't have to pay for. So I downloaded it, and my internet provider, yeah, that's the download sound right there. That's what it sounds like. That's actually what it sounds like to download. Oh, don't push. I better not push. I might get a little kickback there.
Oh, you might brown.
I might get an unexpected, unwanted visit by Mr. Brown.
Oh my God, Mr. Brown.
He's back, Mr. Brown.
He's got a plantation coat and hat with a cup of coffee in his hand. But okay, continue.
So, yeah, I deserved a copy of that damn movie. I've worked on it.
Yeah.
So I downloaded it. My IP gave up my information. The movie studio emailed my IP. AT&T emailed me and forwarded a copy of the complaint. That I may have downloaded an illegal copy of this movie, Public Enemies, and they basically asked me to please remove or dispose of. If this was not you, please disregard this message. Someone using your connection may have gotten this. And it scared me for like a week.
And then a week went by.
I had already burnt it to a disk at that point.
So then you...
And deleted it off my computer. And that's the only time it ever happened. It happened to be the movie that I worked on. And you can't even see me in it.
You're in there somewhere.
I'm off to the side.
You are loafing somewhere.
I was literally 2.5 feet away from the director, looking at his laptop.
Yeah.
Watching this movie being produced digitally.
Yeah.
On a laptop. A very nice laptop.
How much would you think it cost?
Probably a $3,000, $4,000
Oh,
laptop.
God damn.
Most I ever paid for a laptop was $1,000, and that was too much.
The most I ever paid for a laptop was $840 back in 2011, and you know what? That computer lasted me nearly a decade, but I don't think I'll ever spend that much money. I think $524 is what I spent on this one, and it was already on sale. So, yeah, $4,000 is a lot of money that I could rather spend on other things or just save.
So I really don't know what they thought they would have been able to do to me, because especially back then, so many people were downloading stuff, and so many people still are.
You know, if they had to arrest every single person pirating, there'd be no one else left on the planet. There'd be no point.
I remember there was a kid that got threatened to be arrested for downloading like 2 or 3 terabytes worth of MP3s, and the FBI supposedly showed up at his house.
Really?
Yeah.
And what did they do? They just scared him?
I don't know what they did, because he was like a 13-year-old kid.
Oh, come on.
That was a rumor. I never really knew.
If anything, they probably slapped him on the wrist and say, "Don't do it again," because he's not even an adult.
He was a minor.
And you know what? Fuck. We barely make any money to see a movie on a regular basis, meaning a brand new movie out on theaters. We don't make that much money comfortably to say that we want to see a movie a week at a movie theater, like a lot of people that tend to do for some reason. Or, knowing the past year, barely did. Who knows? Yeah. I've always been afraid of pirating because I knew that someone would be out to get me. Like Jason Bourne. Or that one dude that Tom Cruise plays from Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or like Liam Neeson. I found you. Stop illegally downloading. And I only did that once or twice. And it was on dance songs that I could not find online. And I told you, oh, you'd be so proud of me. I pirated a song.
He was downloading all the dance songs.
And it was a copy of Messiah. That one song?
Yep.
But it was the Daniel Candy remix. Or Super Remix, which was from... I think it's from 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
But I really wanted a copy of the song, and I wanted to put it on my iPod. And I couldn't find any, so I decided to download the one copy that was online. I felt dirty, and then I felt good, because you know what? It's like, finally, I got something I wanted.
So you didn't delete it?
Oh, no, the file is still with me. I never did. And I will refuse to relinquish it, because it is a good track.
Yep.
And I have given it to Poos.
So yeah, that was my
Pirate catting.
my pirate. I'm still pirate to this day.
Do you have a peg leg or
I do.
Actually, you know what is absolutely amazing? Yesterday, despite being rear-ended in my bus, my very last pickup of the day, I finally went to the scene of the accident. I literally had to drop someone off a block away from where I got rear-ended, which was insult to injury. Then I saw a man with no left arm or no right arm, who was an amputee and literally was going full-on Captain Cook. He was cleaning windows and he had a attachment for a squeegee, and he was using his amputated arm with a squeegee attachment while cleaning windows.
That's pretty cool.
I have never seen that before. It's like, holy cow, that guy's got half an arm.
That's pretty cool.
And he's got a squeegee attachment.
You know, good on him.
And good on him, because he's still wanting to be useful.
Yeah.
I say, you know what, go for it.
That's the whole point.
If you want like a dildo attachment to start fisting people, go right ahead.
He could do porn.
If you want a fleshlight to get yourself off, there we go.
Yeah. He's your man.
He is totally your man. That was a bit random, but...
Yeah, there you go.
So then, we mentioned something about inflation. You were talking about how all the, maybe Pick and Save, but certainly Walmart, in the last... Even before the pandemic, they were starting to go up in price.
Oh, they planned this all out. Over a month and a half ago, I was noticing... Not everything, but just random prices of things were going up here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before we even heard about our supposed increase in wages.
Which then you discover that not all stores are getting it.
Yeah.
Which is kind
Company-wide in the U.S., half of us are getting a pay increase and the other half are not.
Which is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
You put so many people's faiths into hoping to get a pay raise, and they won't.
Yep.
Which, you know what is going to happen? They're just going to move to whatever store that's getting the pay raise.
Yeah.
You have to wonder if that's a downsizing thing of like, what if we get enough people to transfer to other stores unknowingly, and we just literally tear down a lot of these other stores that aren't doing well? You have to wonder.
Yeah, you do have to wonder.
Knowing Walmart and its business model, and we were talking about Walmart's business model, about how inefficient and how messy it actually is for such a large billion-dollar annually business, or billions of dollars. Right. You would think they would be a bit more organized, and you know what? Their stores are run amok.
They are.
Yet they make billions of dollars each year for some reason. Just because people buy their stuff. But how they're able to buy this stuff without employees to put it out there is incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the perfect example is for us in my produce department, we get anywhere from 5 to, like, we'll say 20 5 to 20 sacks of potatoes every day. Within these sacks is 10 5-pound bags of potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 times 5 is 50. So approximately 50 to 200 bags of potatoes every day. We don't sell that many. We probably sell 20 to 30, I'd say, on an average day. Cut to a week of these shipments, and somebody receives them. They get put into our back room, and then they sit there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get put on the floor. Every day goes by, another pallet comes in with another 5 to 10 sacks of potatoes, 50 to 100 bags of potatoes. They just sit there. They don't get put on the floor. Finally, a week goes by, and those might get put on the floor if I have enough people and I can do it. Because apparently, I'm the only one that knows how to do it. Because I guarantee the last 2 days I've been off, they haven't been touched. The last time I looked, I still had 5 days worth of potatoes back there. Add the 2 days that I haven't been there, it's now 7 days worth of potatoes. And they still sit there. And management does nothing.
Oh, that's the most incredible thing about untouched inventory that sits, is that it's not selling.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you have an overstock of something, but if you have general inventory ready to go that is not being moved to sell, that is literally wasting company space and time. Like, well, not just time, but like material. It's not being anywhere near being put to make it sell.
Yep.
And the longer it sits without anyone can buy it, waste company money there.
Yeah.
And the more and more that comes in, you're now you have an overstock that you can't actually get out. Yeah, it's actually kind of impressive. I knew, and I'm not going to shame people with Walmart jobs, I would only do it if I'm desperate.
Yeah.
And Walmart's not a bad place. There are, well, I don't want to also throw fast food employees underneath the bus, but it is better than working fast food.
Yes.
Although, who knows, considering what I'm hearing from Walmart, you have to wonder if fast food joints are a lot more structured than Walmart, and that might be the case.
I don't see how my store manager is going to keep his job much longer with the condition of the store. In the past 3 months, 4 months, we've had to ask other stores for help with clearing out our back room.
And what means just getting help, or?
Getting help. Getting stuff put out on the floor. Remember the picture I showed you of our back room?
Yes.
When it was almost empty?
Yes.
And when it was full?
Yeah.
It's usually full more than it is empty.
And when you started, it was more empty than it was full.
Yeah.
That's when you had more employees before they dropped out like flies or went somewhere else. Or went to different departments within the same store.
My own department had a total of
7, 8 people when you started?
When I started, we had 11 people.
11 people.
No, we had 12.
How many are currently in your department right now?
3.
3. You went from... Actually, you know what? That's pretty similar to my old job.
Yeah.
We had 12 people to begin with when I started. And we were down to, I think, 6 or 7. That's pretty bad.
That's really bad.
That's incredible.
And they have yet to hire anybody to replace any of the people we've lost. And I'll tell you what, only 2 of them have left the company. The other ones just moved to different departments.
Really?
So it's like, why are you letting this happen and you're not getting someone else in to replace them?
Oof.
Because they keep replacing personal shoppers because those people don't last very long. most of them last a month and then they find something better because they have higher standards.
I think a lot of people have higher standards than to work for Walmart. Not to say that it's not a terrible job. It's something to do while you're down on your luck or looking for something else. But you don't want to say you've retired from working from Walmart because you know that you could have done something a lot better for 20, 30, 40 years.
Oh, yeah. That's why this whole pay increase happened, because they're trying to
retain
yeah,
workers.
But they're barely keeping people, most people are barely keeping their heads above water with this pay increase.
Oh, yeah.
Because the cost of everything has gone up so much.
So it almost doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't make any difference. It's literally just keeping the balance. Keeping these people struggling.
For as long as they can so that they have a vice under their balls or on their tits.
Right, and it's all very, very much established and set up and thought out. You know, keep people struggling just enough, not to the point where they don't kill themselves, but pretty close to that point.
But also show that we're benevolent, so we're going to give them like a 30-cent increase, which in this day and age only covers the yearly inflation.
Yeah.
If you don't get more than a 30-cent increase a year, you're not making enough to make change for inflation every year, because inflation's about 30 cents. Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
It is. So yeah, that's my own personal experience with inflation. You know, just watching our prices slowly but surely, item by item, going up in price. And our whole motto, Walmart's motto right now, save money, live better.
Yeah. Actually, that's been their motto for the last, 10 years?
Yeah, about a decade.
That is no way to be true.
Nope.
There's no truth in that whatsoever.
It couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, that's, it's what you call a farce.
It is.
I frankly find it kind of pathetic. Oh, yeah, why don't you pay all of these Walmart employees $16 an hour? That would be great. That would give all these people a chance at actually living for once instead of paycheck to paycheck. No. Everyone else's costs, including Walmart's, are going up in this country. Because companies are finding a reason that, hey, with tragedies and pandemics like this, we can make money off this.
Oh, yeah.
So the smart companies out there are actually fucking their workers over by making them literally pay more for little change to wage. Or if any, it doesn't matter. You know what's interesting about the pandemic in the last year and at my last job? When I'd gotten my previous job, in the interview, my boss told me specifically that when the world is hurting, we benefit from that. In 2020, that was nowhere near the truth from that. We were struggling more as the months wore on. So much so that, literally, if this is a time when the company says that it does better in tragedies, natural mishaps, or pandemics like this, I thought, okay, well, let's see where this... Nope, didn't even get anywhere near the truth. My company was bankrupt by October.
Yeah, they were lying to themselves and everyone around them.
Oh, yeah. And since I've left, apparently a bunch of other people want to leave. Since I've left, people are now looking at their future within this company saying it's not worth the aggravation. Even in other departments, people are starting to understand that that there's better things to do with yourself. Even if you've been there for 10, 15 years, is the company even going to last that same amount of time for you to retire? Or to get anywhere near to retire? So yeah, my boss was probably lying to himself because he wanted to talk up the company that he's been a member of for the last 30 years, thinking that this is the best thing he can do, which apparently this is the best thing he can do. Which I guess for him is saying something. Me, I didn't know if I want to actually be there long enough, but after a while it's like, you know what, I need to get the fuck out of here ASAP.
Yeah.
There are better things I could do with my time. And you know what? I found a job that I actually enjoy, and even some of the more angrier passengers I have understand that, hey, you know, you just got to do what you can, and you got to ignore those that annoy you, including themselves. And even still, that's a job I would rather handle than work, do many, many, many things, and not get paid for any bit of it besides just getting paid to show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lying of, oh yeah, when you work here, we're family. No. If you hear about the job you are being hired with that says that we are a family, run. Run as far away as you can from this plant, from this company, whatever. They are not your family, and they're going to act like it's so, but they're going to mistreat you. At least family doesn't mistreat you as bad as a company will.
Yeah.
Your family may piss each other off, but not intentionally. A company is there to literally get you to the breaking point each week. That every non-pay period you want to quit, but then the week that you're getting paid, you stay another week to get the paycheck.
Yep.
That's just not living. But yeah, inflation's dumb. Companies that think that laissez-faire administration of letting each branch does its own thing and wasting money and their own time doing so, but making millions on it's eye-opening and dumb. And companies that think they're bulletproof, but in their own mind they think they do. But no, it's all a total farce.
Yep.
Let's see. I bought a few film cameras lately.
Uh-huh.
And I'm getting into 110 film because I can buy the film brand new from new manufactured stock, and they continue to build it, so that's kind of nice. But it's a format that I've been toying about getting into at some point, and you know what? These are really cute cameras. And to think, cell phone, 110 pocket camera, with a bit of thickness, you could put this in a pocket. You could put this in your jacket, you could put this in your pocket. I just think these little pocket cameras are really, really cute. This one's got a flash unit, but I gotta clean the contacts on it, but I put 2 AA batteries in it, and it won't power up, so. But to be honest, that's no big deal, because this is gonna be my beater of a 110 camera for work, because I'm gonna put a 110 cartridge in it of 24 exposures. I'm going to put this in my lunch pail, and anytime I take lunch, I'm going to take pictures of my surroundings.
That's cool.
Which is probably going to open a lot of eyes, but you know what? I think it's time to open up some eyes anyway. And you know what? I got this for $1.
Really? It was only $1?
It was only $1. And you know what? I couldn't go wrong with it. I thought maybe the flash unit might work, but you know what? It doesn't, but that's okay. And you know what? I am perfectly fine with this. The viewing thing is a little bit fucked, but I can still see through it.
You tried cleaning it all already?
Oh, I actually cleaned it, and you know what? It's still kind of fucked, but that's okay. I can still see through it, but the telephoto view lens gets jammed a bit at times. But it should really turn out some really, really wacky photos. It's a very simple camera. And it's a cartridge type, so easy loading. It kind of looks like a mutated cassette tape. And I am really, really due to finishing up scripts on my film photography series so I can start recording it in the next upcoming month so I can finally get this going, finally talk more about film cameras, get 2 more cameras, and then be on my way to get this finished. Might even actually donate some of these cameras back, because some of them I have no interest of keeping afterwards. Some of them I might keep for a short while, who knows. If you're interested, I can send you one of my cameras that really is kind of useless, but hey, if you want something that's kind of cool looking and whatnot and mechanically complete, hey, why not? So, we'll see. But yeah, I'm enjoying my new job. Yeah, actually, I think this is something really, really doable. Every single morning I come in thinking this is going to be another good day, and often enough it becomes a good day until something stupid happens beyond my own control, which it's not my fault, so I can't blame myself for that.
Well, that's good, though. It's a good attitude to have going into work. I try to do the same. I mean, you've heard me on this podcast. I have stayed as positive as I possibly can be in such a badly run company. I mean, the whole thing is they've eliminated assistant managers out of the stores. So they literally killed off
the one group of people that probably would gotten things done.
Really, they did. But they replaced them with team leaders that do almost the same thing, but they don't get paid half as much as assistant store managers did. So they can only care so much. They don't want to be bothered by the base level employees. They will go through a communication system trickle down effect.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go to our department manager or whoever it is, and then he will go to the team leaders and talk to them about whatever our concerns are. Whenever he does come by, he won't talk to any of us. The most I get now is a hi and bye.
Really?
Yeah. It's pretty
cutthroat.
It's pretty terrible, actually. I think when I first started, I had direct contact and communication and worked directly with my assistant managers.
At the old store, right?
And they loved me. We worked well together. We got shit done every day. Like, I would leave there feeling satisfied with
that you did something
with the job that I had done.
Right.
You know, like I may have for the last half hour, 40 minutes, went through all of the paper products that we have in our stores, pull everything forward, and like make it shoppable again. Because I don't know if you ever look at the toilet paper aisle at this store over here. They've got them in huge like steel racks.
Right.
Where it gets pushed way the hell back. And if you don't have arms as long as mine, you're not going to get to it. So, I mean, I literally would go through and just like pull everything forward. Half my body would be in there, moving stuff forward.
Oh, you will only see the tail and the legs of Poos.
That's right. And now, I can't even get my job done.
Because you're being split too many ways.
Yeah.
See, that's how I felt about my last job. I was being split way too many ways. This is what I hated the most about my last job.
Mm-hmm.
1 hour I'm doing something different. Then the next hour I'm doing something entirely different as well.
Yeah.
And it continues for the rest of the day. Because there's not enough people to do everything. So I'm forced to restart from scratch to build up the momentum to do something, and then all of a sudden I'm being told to do something else. Now, by the time that I hit my stride doing something, I'm being told to do something else. So now I'm back at square one, and I have to build up that momentum to do that new thing again.
Yep.
That's one thing. If you do one thing and you expect to be doing something else, you can mentally prepare yourself. But when you do it right on the spot, it's perfectly useless. You really can't get much of anything done. I think it's pointless. It's a type of managing that should not exist, because if you're forced to split your employees into thirds or fourths or fifths or eighths to do something different every single damn hour, you don't have enough employees to do that one job.
Yeah.
Or hire another employee to do half the job of another person, so that way they can do their job a little bit more longer, better.
And granted, I can't hold the personnel managers responsible for this because, well, manager is only one person. Like, the grade of people that we get that apply at our store is not a great selection. It takes pretty much anybody that comes in. It's not too often you hear somebody get declined a job at Walmart.
That's rare.
We take everybody. I mean, you had to have killed a person last week for us to say, you know what, don't think this is going to work out.
What happens if you killed a person 2 years ago?
Probably will take you. Not gonna lie, we probably will. We'll be like, you know, just do us a favor. Try not to kill anybody this week, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god. That's hilarious.
Just try not to kill anybody this week, okay? Make it to next week.
Yeah, I mean, in my last job, my company had hired a felon.
Mm-hmm.
However, he was a drug smuggler, but it was for weed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in the day when weed was a super ultra nasty drug, which it never really was, but he got busted for weed after hiding the weed successfully, and they just happened to find him. But they had no evidence, so they just charged him anyway. However, someone else...
The whole you're guilty until proven innocent thing.
Right. Well, someone squealed on him, but he had no drugs, but they decided to take the guy's word for it anyway.
Again,
but
you're
eventually...
guilty already until proven innocent.
Pretty much. And then he did like 15 years time or something like... or 10 or 12 or 15 years time for selling weed, which in this country is nuts, because I know way too many people, furries, for example, that do weed. Really? Not a big deal.
There's worse things out there.
There are worse things out there, and they say, oh yeah, weed's a gateway drug. I don't know. If you stick with weed, I don't know what else you could probably do.
Yeah.
If you do weed recreationally, you don't want to probably do anything else after that. Just, yeah. But they hired him, and right after he had gotten out, they hired him. And that was like 18, 20 years ago. So he spent much of his 90s in prison. And then became a born-again Christian. Yeah. Which, you know what? He was actually one of the few born-again Christians who weren't a nut. So that's something different. You would think I'd discuss something more about the negativities about that. No. He was actually a good person. He was actually a sane person for a born-again Christian. Because most of them that I've seen turn out to be total nut jobs. Because they were desperate to get into heaven.
Yep.
Whereas this guy's like, oh yeah, see, I'm just taking it day by day, and like, well, that's good.
Without going into too much detail, I will say that I've in the short life that I've lived so far, I've served jury duty once.
Tell us about jury duty, Poos.
And I basically had to take charge of the process because we weren't getting anywhere.
So Poos was becoming constable.
I was constable deliberating Poos.
Do you remember what the case was?
Yes. It was about a drug deal, It was about a drug. It was about being caught with drugs on
Okay.
said person.
What kind of drugs, if you remember?
They don't even know what they were. I
It's
think
just drugs.
it was probably weed.
Okay.
Which at that point I'm already like, why are we even here at this point? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was weed. The whole case that the police had was they saw the guy running, and he was running like this, and he made a arm movement that looked like he could have thrown something down.
Oh, okay.
And then within like, and the thing that got me, which made me change the minds of every single person in there, because we couldn't leave until we were all unanimous with our decision.
Right.
And there was one lady or one guy that was still not buying it. And I said, here's the thing, what it came down to. They changed the distance. First, the policeman said it was 15 feet away from where he ran past.
Right.
Then it was all of a sudden 30 to 45. I'm like, okay, which is it? Because
So the police are changing their story.
the police changed their story. That's all I had to go on. I said, you know what? This is the wrong guy. You know, black men run from police all the time.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
Even if they haven't done anything wrong. And I'll tell you what, I knew in my heart that we did the right thing, because when they threw out the case, he was so relieved. You could tell he hadn't lived here very long, too. I think he had only been a resident of the U.S. for like 2 years. So he still had a very thick Jamaican accent.
Really?
And he was sobbing. He was crying.
Even if he was doing what everyone thought he was, he probably dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
He probably knew that was not an industry he should be going into.
I knew in my heart that we did the right thing. And I knew in my heart that he wasn't going to put himself in a situation like that again.
Oh, yeah.
But I just knew from the reaction that we got that we did the right thing.
So how did you convince a bunch of people?
Like I just said, the police kept changing their story.
So how can we trust the police?
If the police cannot get their story straight,
then how can we take their word seriously?
Yeah, that was it. That's all I had to do.
Are we going to go off on one story or another, and we don't even know which one's correct?
Yep. Because that's the only people we heard from. We didn't hear from the accused.
I take it he didn't speak English very well.
No. So I thought, you know what? This is it. If the police cannot get their story straight,
then we can't, in good conscience, send someone away.
No.
Knowing that the evidence is so skewed.
No. And from what I gathered, this was one of many suspects. So they were literally just going down a list of names.
Probably. Or they decided to actually... Yeah, it could be anything.
It was like eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
Let's put Mo in jail.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to be held accountable for it. Let's make it this guy. Yeah, I just knew in my heart those policemen were lying. They were up there lying. And I'll tell you what, it was not like you watch on TV, man. They tried. The lawyers tried, but they were not as convincing, because I wasn't buying it at all.
Yeah, there are some good policemen out there.
And I even tried to get myself pulled off of the jury beforehand.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't want to be in there?
Well, I didn't, because I used to date a state trooper.
Aw.
For a year.
Aw.
I dated Stefan. We met on AOL, actually.
Ooh, on the AOL.
Mm-hmm.
And you were worried that he was going to be there?
No.
Oh.
I just knew, I knew insides, like, I knew how they worked. I knew how they thought.
The police?
Yeah. So I thought, probably shouldn't be here. Because, not that I hate them. I don't hate Stefan. He was probably one of my second favorite people beyond you. He loved my Cartman voice that I used to do.
Oh, what's
Screw you guys, I'm getting him.
oh
And then fart.
and did that hurt?
A little bit.
Oh no. Your ass slapped yourself.
It did. One cheek slapped the other one.
Oh my god.
What were we talking about before that we were laughing about?
About Cartman, his voice, and
No, out there we were laughing about something. What was it?
Oh, so you just got control of your hand again.
Yeah.
And you just did something.
So I don't know if you guys are aware, but for the last 2 months I've been wearing a brace
On your hand.
on my wrist and hand because I tried catching a 40-pound bag of carrots, sack of carrot bags, I should say. When I should have just let it drop, but the good poos in me thought, oh, I can save this. I saved it at the cost of my own health. This has been giving me problems since September, October.
Mm-hmm.
So for 5 months, it was hurting a lot. And it's like a sharp pain, kind of like someone stabbing your wrist constantly.
Mm.
Sometimes hurts more than others. This is my right paw I'm talking about, which is the same paw that I wipe my ass with, to be completely blunt. So for the past 5 months, I've been using my left paw. And the whole thing was, it's a little different when you're using the hand you don't normally use. And how did you put it?
It feels like someone else is wiping your ass.
Yeah, a little bit. And it feels like a different person every time. Who's that wiping my ass? Hey, it feels kind of weird, but kind of like it.
It's kind of like fapping with your offhand.
Oh, I fat with my offhand all the time. I started with my right hand,
and then you started going with your left.
And then I switched it because it was just all over the place. And I was like, this is better. The right hand took 45 to an hour. Left hand, 5 to 10 minutes. Tops 10 minutes. That's a lot less ass juice and sweat coming out of your ass while you're sitting there.
Not true.
Because I sweat when I fap.
So there was a time when...
Do you sweat?
I probably do. I haven't really paid too much attention. However, we're not going to name names, but remember the time when we visited a...
Ski. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, no. It's definitely not
I
him.
was just naming a random name. Go ahead.
Him and his very, very acidic ass sweat. No, but we were hanging out with two other friends that I knew. And...
I was with you?
Yes. And you looked at a couch with what looked like the fake leather on the cushions were totally rubbed off.
You know how leather looks when it wears, man. It just starts to crack and
actual
chip.
Leather will
Peel off.
Will actually age in a specific way, but artificial leather breaks up, cracks away, splits. However, every single cushion's got a specific wear mark that look like ass cheeks on every single one. And you told me don't sit on it, and that says why. It looks like ass sweat acid, or ass acid sweat, or something that someone used to fap on this couch so many times that it wore out only that part of the couch, because the rest of the couch was fine, but only the cushions were totally knackered. And these two each butt cheek on each cushion was so specific. That's when I thought, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't sit on this.
I see that, and I just think those cushions are filled with
ass juice.
Years of farts and ass juice.
And probably other material. That couch was a biohazard.
If this doesn't convince people to replace their furniture once in a while, I don't know what will.
I would say every 10 years, at least a couch.
I remember the office job I used to have.
Yeah.
when I worked for my neighbor in property management, her son used to work for her for a while. I told you about that.
Mm-hmm.
John. I will name names. I don't care. I guarantee you won't listen to this. He's somewhere in southern Illinois, fapping to something probably.
Probably men.
Who knows what he's into. But I remember the chairs stunk. They just stunk like kind of a combination of farts and sweat.
And love.
And, well, something remotely close to love.
What's remotely close to love? Explain.
Loving yourself.
Okay.
Too much.
Okay.
I overloved myself again.
My hand butthole. If I press my hands together, they look like butt cheeks.
And speaking of which, that same chair was sitting in front of the computer where I found his dick pic. So he had been messaging girls, probably through AOL, and sending his dick pic to people. He has to brush his teeth.
How long ago was this?
When I found the dick pic was in like 2009, 10.
Oh, okay. So this is
11.
certainly during the internet dick pic era.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what's his name? Your quarterback.
Oh, Brett Favre and his open fly jeans.
Oh, God. I wish he had sent me that pic.
Or Anthony Weiner, like a congressman from, I forget where in the New England area.
Was that really his name?
Anthony Weiner or something like that. Or accidentally showed a dick pic to someone else in government and whatnot, and it leaked.
So that's my fear.
Is being in government sharing a dick pic?
Yeah.
And having the whole country realize your last name is Wiener?
Yep.
I think that's funny. I don't care one bit.
It is.
It's
I wish that Brett Favre had sent me his dick, though. I would have happily accepted that.
Oh no, just get his phone number and just send a dick pic of you in open flight jeans and say, oh, you have that fashion? And then about a few hours later, here comes Brett Favre and he's also sending a dick pic with open flight jeans as well and say, oh, you rang?
Yeah. I had a
I
crush.
will be your daddy.
I had a crush on Brett Favre.
If he were furry, what would be his persona?
Probably a fox.
A fox? So he'd be
Yeah.
total fox dad, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'd make a good fox.
Let me show you my fox penis.
Fox or Yeen?
Yeen. Oh, Yeen, yeah.
I don't know what has to run relatively fast. He could have been a cheetah.
He could have been a cheetah. I was gonna say it could be a big cat.
Yeah, he'd be a big cat. Spots.
Look at me and my spike. And my open fly Wrangler jeans.
Somebody needs to do a furry version of him sending his dick pic.
Okay, so someone out there, if you're listening, you need to find our Twitter handles through a DM. If you're an artist and if you listen to this episode and you want to draw a cheetah Brett Favre having his dick out while wearing open fly jeans.
I'd refer him in football pants, to be honest.
Okay, so open fly football pants with
You can just peel the front down. I don't
big
care.
big dick, big cheetah dick Brett Favre.
Doesn't even have to be big. Just average.
Just
my
giant
understanding
cheetah
was-
spike.
My understanding was he had a pretty average penis.
Oh,
It wasn't huge.
I'm not shaming.
And I'm not shaming either. I prefer an
His
average.
penis would throw very good spirals.
I've been with a 12-inch dick before, and it
And it was no picnic.
wasn't anything to write home about.
In fact, it was hard for him to stay hard.
He had to squeeze the base to get the tip hard.
And by the time that he was fully hard, there was another section in his dick that wasn't.
Yeah. If it was soft at the bottom, it was hard at the end.
You know that actually there might be an explanation to that as well. If you break your dick in any length, it's harder for blood to go through
Yeah.
that one spot where it did break.
Can you imagine trying to like maintain that much blood flow down there? You could go into a coma.
So how did he die? Well, he had a heart-on.
At least he has a nice long hard penis.
Well, when we found him, he was dead, but his penis was throbbing.
Not dead, but in a coma.
Oh, so he's passed out, but his penis is like flopping around like a horse masturbating, bouncing off his chest. Boom, 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 boom. Trying to probably resuscitate himself.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I've come across a few Twitter accounts through my ID where somebody is literally just thumping like a desk with their dick.
They're literally Oh wait, a real person.
Yes. Like
Someone actually literally using their dick as a hammer.
Literally slapping a desk with their dick.
And sometimes they're like soda can size.
Sadly, it's not Brett Favre.
No.
I came to Wisconsin too late.
Aw, I think he's where he is from Mississippi, right?
Brett Favre?
I think so.
I don't know.
He grew up and played in Mississippi before he went to Green Bay in what 93, 92, 93.
Where's Brett Favre from originally? Oh, there's a good picture of him right there, too. Sportsman of the Year. When was this? Oh, you're right. Born 1969. 5 years older than me. I'm okay with that. Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay, all right, because I knew that he went to college in Mississippi.
Yeah.
But I think he got signed on either by another team in his first or second year, and then went to Green Bay, or just went to Green Bay. That is a young Brett Favre.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, that is a young Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And he's been with Green Bay for much of his whole career,
Most of his career.
minus a year at the Jets, and then it was 2 years at the Jets and 1 year at the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken.
This is when I was a young...
ogling
Yes.
loaf. But, okay, so if you hear this, and if you're an artist or know an artist...
Yes, Brett, if you hear this...
we need to make you a cheetah persona with your dick hanging out of some pants.
Football pants?
Football pants to make Kurt Ann's dream come true.
Yep.
Dad him up. Dad him up as best you...
2007 is when that photo was taken.
Wow. Damn. But then again...
it's only 14 years ago.
Oh, shit. That feels like a long time with this
Decade
pandemic.
and a half ago.
Feels like eons at this point.
He was Sportsman of the Year.
But then again, he earned it, though, because he was a fantastic quarterback.
Actually, no. He retired in 2007. That photo is probably from, like, before then. Maybe 2006.
However, did he retire from the Packers or just retired in general?
In general, I thought.
Really?
2008, Favre let it be known that he wanted to... he wanted to return to the NFL. He was reinstated by the league the following month. However, his strained relationship with Packers management, as well as the team's commitment to a new starting quarterback, led the Packers to trade him. Oh, that's right, he went to the New York Jets.
Yep. And I don't know if he was there for a year or two, but he didn't last there very long.
No.
And then he went to the Minnesota Vikings for a season, and that was kind of it. And I think the Super Bowl.
He should have never come back.
The Super Bowl with the Packers, I think that's when he retired. That was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Which I think that may have been, 2010?
Yeah.
Because after that, boom, he was pretty much done.
Oh, well.
He is still a good Packer, though. Is there a picture of his dick online?
No, I've never been able to find it.
But they say that his penis was quite normal. Seriously, though, someone draw Brett Favre as a cheetah with his dick hanging out.
Favre.
In fact, I may just go to my AD account and just say that. Say any artist who wants to draw Brett Favre as a cheetah dad with a penis, a spike penis.
I'll pay for it.
Curtin will pay for it. And send it to Curtin immediately so he can masturbate incredibly viciously to. And you'll be in Spidey.
Apparently he sent this to Jen Sturger.
Wasn't it like a cheerleader or something like that?
Yeah, from the Jets. Oh, Brett.
You have to wonder that's why he left the Jets. Because then he realized he couldn't stay.
I'll find it.
You'll find his penis.
I'll find his dick.
And while you're at it, you may as well find that one wiener dude's penis, because apparently he sent a dick pic on like email or something like that where it shouldn't have or something. I forget when and where and why, but I remember on the Colbert Report and on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, I just dated myself a bit.
A little bit. It's okay.
And they made an entire day's worth of it. And I was like, oh yeah, and then sharing Anthony Weiner's wiener. Good times. Good times. We have talked about penis.
Yep.
Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? Oh, so this is an image that, or actually a set of images that I found through a mutual on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And recently there has been a tragic mass shooting in Colorado at a grocery store, which, you know, during the whole pandemic, I can't remember of any mass shooting in 2020, just because people were, even though people were still out and about, I can't remember of any mass shooting happening in 2020. But it felt like, you know what, that's maybe a good thing if not many has come to mind. But with vaccine on the, well, it's not just on the horizon, it's here. It's unfortunate that the first big mass shooting in a long while occurred this past week. By a white dude, a crazy white dude. And you know what? There are images of these people stating that, hey, if I feel in danger, I should bring my rifle with me to go shopping. I showed it to Kurt Ann and whatnot. And I would feel, even as a gun owner myself, I do not feel comfortable going to any of these places knowing that people are going to be strapped with a rifle to their back. I can understand maybe a sidearm if you're undercover or you're a police officer or you conceal carry or what have you. I assume you're responsible enough with it, and if it's not within sight, it's going to be a lot more harder for you to get it out, which means, okay, there we go. It's got some bullshit going on along that way. But strapping a rifle to your back and then going shopping and buying a bag of Oreos doesn't make anyone comfortable, thinking,
No.
oh, we're all safe. We have a good citizen with a rifle that he can protect us. But do you ever consider he may be the shooter?
These people they're literally the ones out there trying to prove a point that it's still a country where it's legal
To walk around with a weapon.
Right, because the
Second Amendment allows you to.
You have the right to bear arms, but they're taking it in the literal sense. And I don't know how many times people have reiterated this, but that was set up for the Civil War.
No, just
No.
uh,
What was it for?
American Revolution.
The American Revolution.
In case that we ever got attacked, that there was a chance to defend ourselves
Yes.
in that way. And also, too, back in the day, people's
So
livelihood.
So that the citizens can help fight along with the military.
Right. Even though initially, founding fathers did not want a standing army, but that ended up becoming a thing anyway. So
Right.
some of the things that the founding fathers wanted, they got what they wanted, and then some of the things that they didn't want, they ended up saying, "Hey, you know what? We'll take it anyway."
Right.
It's
So people are taking it in the most literal sense possible.
right.
And toting their arms in the open, on their backs, on their belts. Some people stuff it right here.
Well, it's like a crotch shot, which you really shouldn't do anyway.
No.
So people who are for these photos that say, "Oh, well, you know, these are just a tool, and people need to defend themselves in case something were to happen to them." Number one, I believe if you're that paranoid and insecure about going out into the world without a weapon, you already have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing if you're, I don't know, if you think that you're going to get attacked somewhere, where exactly are the hell you're going?
Yeah.
I can understand concealed carrying. That's one thing.
Right, because it's concealed. It's not
Right.
in the open for
Right.
everyone to see.
So in that case, you're more a good guy more than anything else, as I like to think.
Plus, to have a concealed weapon,
You have to go through
You-
more training. You have to have a
Right.
CCW and whatnot.
you had to apply for a permit
Yes.
to get permission to have this concealed carry.
Yep. So
So
pretty
you went
much
through all the venues to
and all the
legally
checkpoints. Yeah.
to legally be able to do this.
Which, honestly, I'm all for. Because,
Right,
you know
'cause you
what?
went through
That
the
means
process.
that they understand what they are getting themselves into.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Right.
Strapping a hunting rifle to your back doesn't convey any sense of, "Oh, yes, I am here to make sure that in case anything happens, I will be the first responder to make sure that nothing bad will happen." No, you're given the idea of, I brought my rifle with me in case something were to happen, or I can cause something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or, number one, if you're expecting trouble, you may be trouble. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Yes, no one else expects a shooter at your movie theater or your grocery store or your shopping mall.
Mm-hmm.
No one expects that. However, if you're going out of your way to get stuff looking for trouble, you are getting stuff for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand one bit. There's one thing, if you wanted to defend yourself in case this happens to you and those around you, you can quickly respond back. If you got a CCW, perfect.
Right.
Strapping a rifle while going to McDonald's undoes everything what concealed carry does. Yeah. So one of these people say, "Well, it's just a tool, and you shouldn't be worried about tools." I'm just going to assume that he's there for us, and I'm not going to be worried. Well, yeah. What happens if he happens to be the shooter who's just putting on airs?
What if someone takes that weapon off of him and uses it?
Yeah.
You can really easily take a knife, cut that strap at one end, yank it off the rest of the way.
You could. You could totally smash someone's head in with a glass wine bottle and then take his weapon.
Yeah.
With a concealed carry, you don't know who actually has a pistol.
And that's a point I didn't even think about before.
Oh, you mean the idea of just
somebody else stealing it off of that person?
That too.
And using it right then and there.
Yeah.
You're, like you said, that is inviting trouble.
Exactly. If you're expecting trouble, you are going to be the trouble.
The carrier, the original carrier, doesn't intend to do something, there may be someone else that does.
Right. Someone who can't get a weapon but sees an opportunity for a weapon, they'll do what they can if they're desperate enough, which is stupid. But people like that exist in this world.
There are.
So
sad but true.
Someone mentions the idea that, as I mentioned before, and this is my thoughts on the subject.
Right.
Guns are certainly a tool that can kill people, but it's the person who holds the gun is the true killer. You can also kill people with a butter knife. You can kill people with a car. for running them over. You can kill people with the mouse cord on your computer.
Yep.
If you're that desperate, anything can be considered a weapon. I don't think getting rid of weapons is going to be the end-all, because there's going to be another thing.
Dental floss could kill somebody.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
A bow and arrow, a crossbow, anything, weights.
A pen.
A pen.
Yeah. A pencil.
If you're going to go after guns, you may as well go after every single every single object on the planet.
Yeah.
You could probably kill someone with your shirt by stuffing it down their throats and making them choke on it. Now, this is very graphic stuff that we're talking about. I'm just trying to make sense that if you ban one thing, people are going to go after the next best thing.
Right.
But this one person on Twitter makes a mention about the idea of strapping a rifle and going to Taco Bell and grabbing a fuck ton of soft-shell tacos. They say, tools have a purpose and are stored and then used for their purpose. Hunting, target practice, heirlooms in a cabinet are tool purposes. A visit to shop or a restaurant isn't. You know what?
For sure.
That's pretty accurate. If you think that your firearm is a tool, treat it as such. My firearms never leave the case. They never do. Unless I'm doing service to them, or I'm going out to a range. And with pandemic, that's not always possible. And that is a very cute poom. Aw.
That's fan art of, what's his name's?
Let's see.
Chiron Bows.
No, wait. Let's take the other. I want to look at the other one.
Oh, it's cropped.
It's cropped. Aw. I totally agree.
That's Andre, the character Andre.
That a weapon is certainly a tool. You as the user can only determine what it can be used for. If you have any brains, you would know how to safely store, use a firearm. That's very cute. I would go after his ass, though. I don't know. I like his ass. These people are kind of nut jobs if they feel that they need a weapon all the time to make themselves feel more secure and more safe, when in the reality is you're going to make everyone uncomfortable as fuck. Now that's cute. I'd still go after his ass. Oh yeah. I mean, yes, the background checks, they certainly help. I still think private sales of firearms should at least go through an actual FFL dealer. Yeah, you can sell firearms between others, but you want to make sure that they're not felons. You make an FFL dealer as an arbiter to make sure that this person you're selling your firearm to is not a crook. That I wish would happen a bit more, but hey, I mean, it's so easy to own a car, get your license, and then ram 20, 30, 40 people down a busy street.
Yeah.
No one has ever considered banning cars. Look at France. Look at Nice or Saint-Tropez or the Riviera, where someone took a semi-truck and barreled down a busy sidewalk in France, killing dozens of people and injuring many more. And yet France has not banned the use of semi-trucks. If you're going to ban one thing, they're just going to go after the next. I don't know. It's an interesting subject we're touching base on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to stop someone from saying, hey, you're not allowed to butter your toast with a knife. Okay, so I'm going to butter my toast with a spoon. Well, you can't do that either. Well, I can't have a knife, so I can't use a spoon. So I'm going to use a fork. Well, you can't use that either. Well, what can I use? After a while, things get ridiculous when you ban stuff. Some things are worth banning. Others, it goes into a slippery slope of, well, what else can you ban? This giant glass bottle of vodka has got some pretty thick-ass glass. If I smash this against the wall, and if it doesn't cut me in the process, this can be considered a weapon. So what's it going to take for, like, oh yeah, a bar fight killed 2 people with a glass bottle. Then all of a sudden a state mandate says that bars cannot sell or cannot possess in any shape or fashion glassware that could be used as a weapon. You would think you're doing the right thing, but you're going to a far extreme of such a rarity that is it actually going to help? Next thing, a knife, a butter knife, a kitchen knife, a fork, a spork might be used to hurt someone. I don't know, it's just... I feel like if you try to bubble wrap society eventually, you know that it's not going to function at all properly. Gun violence is certainly an issue, but it's the people behind the gun is actually the issue. They're the ones that need mental help. They're the ones that shouldn't be getting access to a firearm anyway. And someone did. Or it was themselves in the state could have used a lot more screenings to make sure that you are mentally sane to possess a firearm.
Yep.
Because, yeah, you can blacklist every single firearm on the planet, and you know no one's going to give it up. In New Jersey, they made a magazine ban, and people in New Jersey had to turn in their magazines of 30-round capacity, and not a single magazine was returned. Because you know what? People don't care. They own it, but they were told to turn them in. Not a single magazine was turned in. So, I don't know. If you're going to make something banned, it's going to make more problems than it did. Like prohibition from 1919 to 1934, right? The banning of alcohol. You know how much crime skyrocketed during that time? When they thought that the lack of alcohol will return society back to a more pure form. And it turned out people were still drinking underneath the counter or making moonshine in their bathtub and going blind over it. Al Capone. All these other people that were mobsters back in the 1920s and 30s, they were all in the alcohol trade. And they promoted that kind of violence to those that were also competing in their trade as well.
It's funny you bring that up, too, because we were all talking about drinking on the job. Remember Bill that I used to work with at the other store?
Yeah.
Shout out to Bill, my functioning drunk coworker. He still drinks and works at the same time. Somewhere out there.
Over the rainbow.
He was a nice guy, though. He never did anything wrong. He never hurt anybody. But he just had a problem, you know? And I'm not going to judge. Because my meats department manager / new acting supervisor for all of the consumables was talking about we should have like an hour where we all get to sit around and drink. And I said, you mean like a happy hour kind of thing? At work. But I said, we'll just call it Spark Hour. Spark is the Walmart symbol.
Yeah.
The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line thing.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what we call a spark. Whenever you hear somebody say over the intercom at Walmart, code SPARK level 1, they're calling for help at the front registers because there's probably a line of 40 or 50 people.
Yeah.
And there's not enough cashiers to help them all. So they call for backup, which is pulling all the people off the floor up to the register, which just invites more theft, in my eyes. So I said, well, why don't we just call it Spark Hour, where we all coming back, indulge in a couple beers, and go back to work.
I would say definitely limit the amount, but you could certainly have a beer. Yeah. Say, hey, you're going to work hard. You may as well at least have a little bit of fun with it. As long as you do your job right. You do it at lunchtime. You literally do it halfway. Halfway in the day, you have 1 or 2 beers or 1 or 2 shots. By the time that you're done with your shift, you should still be sober enough.
Yeah. Well, we don't take our lunch till about an hour before we leave. Because that's the only time I can.
Aw.
Yeah. I bust my ass all day for 9 hours.
I take I take my lunch on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think like 5 or 6 hours into my shift, but on Saturdays, I take my lunch hour 3 or 4 hours into my shift.
Yeah.
And then I do the last 7 or 6 hours.
They
Until
can't
the end of
fire
the
us
day.
all.
Oh no.
Could you imagine how many people that would be working in our department then? Like 2. In all of consumables. That's all of grocery, all of dairy, all of meats, all of bakery, all of deli, and all of produce. 2 people. They'd have everybody else fired over alcohol.
I mean, I would hope that reaches corporate.
Those shelves would be empty.
I would hope corporate finds a little memo. Somewhere in New Berlin, Wisconsin, a whole department was canned because they were drinking on the job. Number 1, will they actually make us think about it? And number 2, will they care enough to
Number
know
3,
more?
why were they drinking? What's going on? Why
weren't we invited?
What drove those employees to drink on the job? That's what I would ask.
That might open more minds than it would.
What's wrong with this store? Why are our employees all
my
drinking?
I never thought of it in that way.
Oh yeah, that's what would happen. It would open some eyes.
There would be
There's
like,
something-
we're going to do some disciplinary actions. I'm like,
Paperwork.
are these people really thinking they're working in a concentration camp? We got to find more.
Yeah. You can't.
Oh wow.
You can't get rid of that many people. I mean, that's like half the store not working.
I never that would be awesome to have someone think like that.
So you would have to at some point. What's going on there? What's driving these people to drink? Like maybe the work conditions are that awful.
I'm sure they'll find another way to make it worse. I don't think they would probably care enough to say, let's fix something.
No.
Because at that point, they should have done something a long time
like anything
ago.
else, they would sweep it under the rug. Walmart, the one thing that they always believe in is that any publicity is good publicity.
Yep. Oh, you know it.
And that's what the real people that get paid big bucks are the ones that can swing stuff the other way and make it positive out of a negative.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, well, they have really good sales on alcohol. We should go there and get some beer. You know, that's all they would turn it into. You know, Walmart's having a good sale on beer and wine. Beer before wine, feeling fine.
Beer before liquor, never sicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We're at about 2 hours, and I am in about 10 minutes.
Aw, he is about too low.
And I still have to do some gaming and fapping, probably at the same time.
Aw.
We'll just call it game fapping.
You know, I'm going to touch base on just a short amount, and then we'll head this off. Speaking of alcohol and speaking about alcoholics and problems, I see Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
What does that say? He's too horny to be left alive. Oh my god, that's funny.
What does it actually say?
He's too dangerous to be kept alive.
Oh, now it's too horny.
Yeah. Oh my
Which
god.
can also be considered dangerous.
Yeah. So, in this fandom, for some reason, I don't know how it began. I know that furries love to party. However, I don't know when we started taking off the idea that we can be total, full-on alcoholics. I don't know if there was ever a transition period to that, or if it always like that. I never really noticed it being a huge problem until like the last 3-4 years ago, where everyone that I knew certainly is a total alcoholic, and I used to be kind of one of them. I still drink booze, but I don't drink to the level that I used to long ago.
You're not drinking until you're basically unconscious.
Right. I've made a promise back in 2019 to go only cold sober at cons. Not only did fursuiting become a lot more easier because I was only drinking water, so I was only sweating out water. I was less dehydrated, so I enjoyed fursuiting more. But I actually enjoyed my time at every convention. I was more than convinced that being dry at conventions is my favorite way to do conventions. You don't need booze to enjoy yourself at a convention, and if you need to, go right ahead. I'm not going to judge you for that. So as long as you respect my idea that I would rather be sober while I go to a convention, because you know what? I'll remember more good things about it.
Right.
But I can't imagine, because we all know what alcoholism does. It destroys your liver. I can't imagine a lot of these furs our age, or at least my age, but actually certainly as well your age as well, where they party hard.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that being good for them later down the road with constant drinking. Because I know some of them drink when at conventions, and I know some of them keep drinking after conventions, at home. Some of them are totally dependent on alcohol, which I kind of feel sad because that shouldn't be the case. But
it shouldn't be the case.
I can't imagine that some of these furs, and it is a kind of a scary thought, I can't imagine any of these furs that totally drink like bros, which, yeah, we all have that moment. I can't imagine seeing these guys past the age of 55 or 60 with functioning livers. Scares me a bit. Yeah, you can enjoy a beer. You can enjoy a vodka mixed with something. Hey, drink it with moderation, and you know what? Things will be just fine. But if you abuse your body like that, don't expect your body to hang around long after a period of time. I don't know. I just feel like this past year may have been good for the fandom for one thing only. That people aren't drinking their brains out at a convention.
Yeah.
Which might save another year of their life expectancy to that degree. I don't know. It seems a bit morbid. But I can't help but think, I don't pay attention, I don't tell people what to do, but holy moly, do I see some of these people, and they drink like fish. Even when I was a total drinker, I never drank that much. And I just want to see people well. Yeah, you can enjoy yourself with booze, but I don't want to see some of my friends growing up later in life going to dialysis. Because they literally drank... No, it's their kidneys. I'm sure it has something to do with their kidneys as well. Filtering out stuff as well.
Yeah.
So their liver and their kidneys are taking a beating. And take things with moderation. I don't know. I guess that's my own PSA right there is enjoy booze, but don't overdo it because...
know your limits.
Yeah.
And if you can no longer... like, if you lose your motor skills, you've already
need to stop.
You've already gone too far, and just put the drink down. Drink water. Here's my hugest thing. Drink water between every drink. You can maintain a buzz.
Yeah.
And still be coordinated enough to make decent decisions.
Once you start slurring your speech, that's your sign to say, okay, slow down. Put the drink down, drink some water, sip on it for a while. And if you want to continue a buzz, drink 3 or 4 hours after you started slurring your speech and then continue the buzz that way.
Yeah.
Or like what you say, for every full drink you have, down it down with half a glass of water to not overpower it. Because sometimes stomachs will literally flush itself out.
Yeah, it has to. At some point, you can't retain all that water or all that liquid, and your system will push it out.
Yep.
And in doing that, you're limiting the amount of alcohol that goes to your brain.
Although...
because that is what makes you drunk.
I also don't condone throwing up because your esophagus lining is totally unfiltered, much like your colon. That's why you don't do an enema of booze, because it goes directly in your bloodstream.
Oh, yeah.
Your esophagus, same thing. The reason why you get drunk so fast is that the alcohol is being filtered through your throat, which takes in everything. Things don't get filtered until your stomach. But your esophagus, unfiltered, like a cigarette. And if you throw up, you're regaining the alcohol boost as it goes back up again. So you're getting a double whammy where, yes, you feel better that there's no more alcohol in your stomach, but you got a second buzz through the alcohol passing through your system outward. I don't know. It's just, I guess my own PSA is know your limit. Don't overdo it. Think about yourself and your health. Have fun, but don't damage yourself to the point where you'll regret it later.
Yep.
So. Anyway, with that, it's been 2 hours long. I think it's a good time to end it. So, in this case, this has been another episode of the Zooming Who's podcast. And once again, I'm your host, Dustin DaHusky.
I'm Kurdan Sarpus.
And we'll catch you at the next episode. Take care.
Be good to yourselves.
Be good to yourselves. Stay safe. Cover your snoots. Wash your paws and beans. Alcohol with moderation. Make sure Brett Favre is a cheetah, and at night, if he's hovering over your bed, tell him to cut a hole in his pants to make an open fly.
Cheetah Brett Favre.
Cheetah Brett Favre. Someone give him art. And Elton John, Sir Elton John. You are a wild, wild man, and we're grateful for you.
He's a national treasure.
He is our national treasure. All right. Until next time. Take care of yourselves. Good night.